Hello, race fans, and welcome to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for the RLL Esport and Apex Racing team behind the scenes stream from the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. My name is Peter Mackay, and joining me in the commentary box this evening is Jack Cannan, all the way from Ireland. Jack, we had a much more like it a couple of weeks ago with our Rahal Letterman-Lanigan Esport driver Kevin Ellis Jr. getting right back into the championship fight. But here in Georgia, might be his teammate Zach Campbell who's the man to look out for.
Yeah, it's all home advantage for him this week. So we'll see how Zach can get on. It wasn't a great day at the office last time out. We've had a 2-week break. We've had a bad round at the start, great round second, and then a kind of mediocre. So hopefully we can bring it back this week at Road Atlanta. But Zach Campbell with the home advantage for RLL Esports and looking very good in practice, to be fair to Zach as well. He was up there second fastest in practice.
He was, yeah, of course. This is, Zach mentioned to us 2 weeks ago that not only is it his local circuit, but one of his absolute favourites anywhere in the world. So as you can see, our drivers are out at the moment in qualifying, but let's take a quick look and see how things stand in the points. Joshua Rogers leading the championship on 265 from his VRS teammate Mitchell de Jong. But the first of our drivers, the number 30, Kevin Ellis Jr. from Glasgow, for Rahal Letterman-Lanigan Esport, currently sitting a very comfortable 5th in the championship right now, and plenty of the season left to go. Of course, Kevin finished 5th in the championship last year, so in place for a good run this season. Zach Campbell, bear in mind, Zach has come through the pre-qualifying is extraordinary that he's up into 11th position despite a couple of difficult meetings, often no fault of his own. Jamie Fluke, I tell you what, now I want to come to you on this one, Jack. Jamie Fluke has absolutely astounded me this season because he's had such a difficult pre-season with injury, which luckily he's now recovered from. But at this level of sim racing, the amount of hours you have to put in behind the wheel is incredible. So if you're limited by injury, he's been at a real disadvantage coming in. But at Silverstone, just charging through the pack in a field where drivers don't do that very often.
Yeah, he did. Jamie did an amazing drive last time out at Silverstone, so he's done very, very well, dragging himself into the top 20. Jeff Ghiazzi is also in that top 20 with Johan Hart in 21st in the championship, and Johan's had a bit of an unlucky season as well, as has Jeff. He was caught up in that first kind of corner instant as well at Silverstone. But Jeff has shown flashes of what he's capable of as well. So great to see how he's going to get on. But currently, after the first runs in qualifying, is Zach Campbell in front of Kevin Ellis by a margin of 2/1000ths of a second. 6th and 7th, they share a row. Jamie Fluke is 14th. Jeff Ghiazzi is 22nd. So we've got 2 of the RLL Esports guys in the top 10. But as per usual in the Tag Heuer Esports Supercup, it is incredibly close in qualifying. There's less than a second separating the entire field.
Now, as much as I would like to try and pretend that I can drive like Kevin Ellis Jr., that is not Peter Mackay there. It's Peter Mackay talking. That is Kevin Ellis Jr. on the left with Zach Campbell on the right. Now, Jack, I have to say, I like these new snazzy Apex Racing Team and Rahal Letterman-Lanigan shirts. Maybe we should get some of that merch for ourselves.
Yeah, they just got that delivered this week, I think. But looking really, really nice, and finally able to represent some team gear at least. But representing the team very well at the moment in qualifying. We're looking at Kevin Ellis Jr. He's just dropped down to 8th. Sebastian Job has decided he wants to slot himself between them, so that leaves there's 3,000s between the 3 of them in that little section there. But only 2/10 off a pole. Charlie Collins is currently the fastest man at the moment in qualifying, but now the second run's coming in. Of course, you have 3 laps in your qualifying so to try and get a lap in. But Kevin Ellis now coming through that chicane at the bottom of the hill. Tricky braking's on, and this, you've got to be brave over the hill right here into that last corner. You've got to basically fling it and hope that it sticks. And you can see the car kind of bouncing over the bumps, over the start-finish line. Kevin Ellis Jr., does he improve his position? Yes, he does, up to 6th.
What a lap. Absolutely superb. 120.237 for Kevin Ellis Jr. And that puts him up onto the 3rd row as things stand. Let's get Jamie through and see what he can do. He's actually coming into the start of a new lap. He's going down the S's. And it is just extraordinary. I mean, viewers, do not adjust your screens. Jeff Ghiazzi, only 6/10 off pole, 22nd on the grid. That is, I know it's a relatively short lap here at Road Atlanta, but that is just extraordinary.
Yeah, it is an improvement of a 10th for Jeff to actually put him on the same road. There he goes up to the top 10. Jeff Giazzi up to 9th, and now we're keeping on board with Jamie Fluke there as he gets the car sideways. I was just admiring that first sector where he's just bouncing over the bumps and the car just crying enough over the bumps, but really doing a nice job here. 2 10ths with rocket him up into that top 10. Of course, Zach Campbell currently 10th, so Jeff just getting the better of Zach by less than a couple of hundredths now. Into the last chicane comes Jamie Fluke for Apex Racing Team, onto the power as early as he can, over the blind crest, and now let's see the commitment through this last corner. Absolutely no hint of a lift whatsoever. Running to the line, sideways over the line. Jamie Fluke, does he get himself up further to 20.54, but he doesn't improve his position. He remains in 15th place. But overall, a very good qualifying from the guys right there. They're all in the top 20.
Yeah, that's absolutely superb from all of our boys there. Kevin Ellis Jr. qualifying in 6th. He'll be right there in the meat of the fight. Jeff Giazzi, I have to say, we've got to take our hat off to Jeff, of course, our new signing for the Apex Racing Team this season. And Jeff, I tell you what, those lucky shorts are finally coming through with the goods, Jack.
Absolutely are. That's a great qualifying from Jeff, finally showing what he's able to do as well. I don't think we didn't see Johan Hart there on these timing screens. He didn't manage to get a similar kind of lap in. So we have about 2 minutes left in qualifying right now. There's a few more who still have to yet finish their runs. But yeah, very good qualifying. Kevin Ellis will be in 7th, and then it'll be of course further down they'll sort themselves out. But we've got some really good positions for these guys now. Now, of course, we remember there's 2 different races. There's the sprint race and the feature. So we have, of course, that reverse grid, which is the top 8 are reversed. And we all know Kevin Ellis Jr., where is he starting? Pretty much where the reverse grid is.
Indeed. And of course, we mustn't forget his fantastic performance from 7th to 7th place in race 1 at Interlagos, putting him on the front row of the grid for race 2, and then delivered our feature race win. So Kevin is right in the zone where he needs to be. The other factor that I'm thinking about right now, Jack, is the opening sector at Road Atlanta is so perilous. We see it so often every time we come to race here at any level. Of course, the drivers from a standing start, the tyres are ice cold, the brakes are ice cold, and they come up the hill over the crest, and then you've got the S's, and the drivers, nobody wants to give an inch, and if you're in the meat of the pack, you're in serious danger of getting caught up in an incident, more than almost any other circuit on the calendar. But with Kevin being up near the front, that minimises that risk.
Yeah, it is a very tricky sector, that turn, that first couple down into the S's. So just expect them to be going kind of single file through there. Best overtaking opportunity, of course, with that long back straight into the downhill chicane. That's the perfect opportunity to make an overtake. So overall, there's actually not that many overtaking opportunities around the first sector or two. Single file all the way through the first sector, but expect plenty of action throughout the middle and last sector of this track. So, of course, sprint race about to come your way in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. And let's have a look at your grid. It's Charlie Collins on pole position, ahead of championship leader Josh Rogers. Dane Warren is third, and Jeremy Bootlip in 4th. Mitchell de Jong and Dave Williams, with Kevin Ellis Jr. in P7. And remember, P8 is reverse grid pole. Alejandro Sanchez is 9th, and Jeff Giazzi in 10th with home hero. Zach Campbell is 11th. Sebastian Job starts 12th with Max Benecke and Ricardo Castro. Jamie Fluke in 15th. Thibaut Casabon, Sindre Setsas, Graham Carroll and Alexander Thiebaud with Thomas Tatzela. Martin Kronke, Diogo Pinto and Patrick Holtzman. Christopher Dambietz in 24th. Maxim Ramstein and Moreno Cervicha. Salva Talens and Josh Thompson. Ayahankan Gufen, Mati Kaida Soya with Mikkel Gade, Jack Sedgwick, Alexander Walters, Daniel Lafuente, Carlos Fenalosa and Pekka Toivonen, Ricardo Rico, Mac Backham, Johan Hart and Brian Lockwood. So 3 of those guys not setting times. But look at that, 37 cars separated by 9 tenths, Peter.
Absolutely incredible. Just mind-boggling, really. And I think we're going to be in for a real thriller. here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, a historic circuit built in the early 1970s in Brazelton, Georgia, built out of the local red Georgia clay. They cut the circuit from there, but went through a number of different owners before being really brought to life by Dr. Don Penoz, who created the Petit Le Mans race and the American Le Mans series, which all started here at Road Atlanta. And Dr. Don Penoz, an absolute legend in sports car racing, made his money by inventing the nicotine patch.
The nicotine patch. So, completely unrelated to motorsport, but that's where the money came from. And a very interesting link to make there. But here we go for the sprint race in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. It is lights out and away we go. We go green in Road Atlanta. So now it's Charlie Collins with a good start. Kevin Ellis Jr. of course in the middle of the pack there. You can just see him right there. Jeff Ghiazzi in behind him as well as they come into turn number 1. This will be kind of a good opportunity to try and make some positions already. Challenging Williams up the hill. He's got the outside line now as they come into the first sector for the first time. Inside line for the sharp right-hander. Moves up in position up to 6th place. So good start from Kevin Ellis Jr. Clean from the guys behind. Zach Campbell gets past Jeff to move into 10th place. He's down to 11th now is Jeff Ghiazzi. Jamie Fluke hanging on to 14th. So a very, very clean start from the guys today.
Wow, fantastic stuff there from both Kevin Ellis Jr. and Zach Campbell for Rahal Linneman Lanigan Esport. Now, Johan Harth, we can just see his onboard camera there, the wheel twirling around, a big sigh of desperation there, so not a good start for Johan, as he just cannot buy luck at the moment. Back onto the main rear straight here. It's so long here. There's plenty of opportunity for some drafting, and you can see the two VRS Coanda cars having a go already down the straight. Of course, there's a long braking zone here into turn 10A and 10B. Kevin Ellis Jr. right in the thick of the pack now in 6th position. Brilliant start from the Scottish star with his teammate Zach Campbell not far behind. And tell you what, Zach looks to be on the move as Jeff Ghiazzi having to hang off from the defending champion Sebastian Job, who hooks it around the outside and goes onto the grass. That's not going to work. Oh, dear me. Max Benecke has to take a little bit of avoiding action. And look, there's Jamie Fluke in the number 49 car, getting his elbows out. Brilliant stuff.
Sebastian Job and Max Benecke in an Apex Racing team sandwich. This is what we like to see. Ghiazzi hanging on and Jamie Fluke trying to pick his opportunities there as they come through the middle first sector for the first time. We see Zach Campbell already on the back of the train up ahead. He's up to 10th and is on the back of the MSI Esports car right in front of him. So you can see the top 10 are all away. Kevin Ellis now moving out of the slipstream, flashing the lights a little bit. He fancies a look at Mitchell de Jong maybe down the back straight. But 10 laps of action to come your way. This is on board with Zach Campbell, the home hero, and this is his home circuit. He lives not too far away from the circuit and knows it like the back of his hand. So he's got now one of the MSI Esport cars in front of him. I don't think he's going to try for a move here. I think he's just going to hang back, just going to come out of the slipstream side. He's kind of watching what's happening in front of him there as he comes down the straight. So just keeping patient right now as things, they've spread out a little bit. Josh Rogers kind of starting to break away a little bit now, but Kevin Ellis Jr. is firmly in the mid-pack of this one. And Zach just following everybody behind him. Jeff is trying to also close in on the fun up ahead of him now as they file through the last corner to begin lap number 3. But incredibly clean from everybody today. Really impressive.
Yeah, they all seem to be on their best behaviour. It's a bit spooky actually, isn't it, Jack? We normally see pandemonium in the early laps. It's just so aggressively competitive here in the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Now, we're going to have a look and see what happened to poor Johan Harth, because his bad luck continues. So you can see he's made up a couple of spots from the back of the pack, and okay, this kind of gets a bit checked up there. It's all going on in front of him, and I guess when you're starting from the back, Jack, there's the risks of getting involved in those sorts of incidents are all going to be there.
Yeah, such a shame for Johan. He's had awful luck this season, and that unfortunately continues. We go back to Jamie Fluke now, who's on the back of the reigning champion Sebastian Job, with Benecke is just in front of him as well. So he's in very good company here behind the Red Bull Esports driver in front of him. So Job going a little bit defensive to the inside, but Jamie going to be sensible here. There's Benecke, and you can just see in front that's Jeff Ghiazzi, and in front of him is Zach Campbell. So this is now a 14-car train for the lead at the moment, and this is just classic Super Cup racing, isn't it?
Oh, what a sight that is. Yeah, watching these purebred Porsche 911 GT3 Cup machines running 485 horsepower. A car that weighs just around 1,300 kilograms. It's a proper bit of kit, this car. 4-litre engine mounted right in the rear of the car, as a 911 should be. That same recipe since the early 1960s when the Porsche's what was meant to be, well, a production car. Well, it's such an amazing history in the racing world. And what a view there from our cameras. Absolutely extraordinary. And yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr. playing this one super smart, as he always does. He knows that holding position right now is just a matter of just settling in. We're nearly at half race distance already, and this would give him a very, very strong grid spot. This would put him on the second row of the grid for the 20-lap feature race, just 10 laps for the sprint race. It's been a good start for Zach Campbell, but you just feel that Zach's just got that a little bit more in hand than what he's showing just at this very stage.
Yeah, I think what he's got in his head now, he's aiming for reverse grid pole. He's in 10th, he's got 2 positions to make up, and Tommy Oscar is the man who's currently occupies that position. He's on the back of Alejandro Sanchez, who's 9th at the moment. But there's opportunities for literally anybody in this train to either secure a win or of course, getting that reverse grid pole position. So right now, yeah, Kevin would start 3rd for the feature race. Zach would start 10th, and of course, Jeff would start 11th and 14th for Jamie. So all going well at the moment, very good. Just a shame for Johan getting caught up in the lap 1 instance. But Zach biding his time right now. He's got Jeff behind him, so he knows he's in good company behind. Beneke is also behind Jeff, and Sebastian Job's on the back of him, and Jamie Fluke's on the back of him. So it's just a full-on train. It's a very fast lap around this circuit as well. So this sprint race is genuinely going to be a sprint race. It's a very, very quick. As we look back from Jamie Fluke, he's following Sebastian Job and Max Beneke. So Jamie's at the back of the train here, so he gets the benefit of, if something happens in front of him, he can see right up to the leaders. He can see exactly what's happening in front of him, and he has the opportunity to back off, and he's got space behind him to do so, which in this kind of fight can be very, very useful in case something happens to you. It's nice to have a little bit of breathing space behind you.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, we saw Zach doing that as well. He could have maybe drafted a little bit longer and got a bit more of a run, but he didn't want to. And just like you said, peeking his eye out, going down into turn 10A and 10B. Now, 10A and 10B at the end of that very, very long back straight is just the perfect opportunity for overtaking manoeuvre. However, by nature, it also is a little bit of a hot spot for contact between drivers. Even in the Petit Le Mans last year at Road Atlanta, we saw a number of cars colliding at that particular corner. So it's it's a hot spot for action. Now, of course, Jamie Fluke, the man we're riding on board with right now, he has won the virtual version of the Petit Le Mans a couple of years ago in a Daytona prototype. So he knows this track well, he likes this place, and it is a proper driver circuit around here. Now, we're coming on to the main back straight where back in 1998, Yannick Dalmas actually flipped his Porsche 911 GT1 on its roof, which is must have been giving him a bit of a fright. But they actually used to land aircraft on this back straight. The previous owners, Don and Bill Whittington, used to land their private aircraft on when they owned the circuit.
There's plenty of space for it anyway.
Yeah,
down that straight.
Shall we say they had some special cargo from, shall we say, south of the United States?
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I'm throwing you off for that one, Jack, haven't I?
Certainly an interesting history to Road Atlanta. Plenty of it here. Yeah, you certainly have. I wasn't expecting that one. But motorsport has a funny old history sometimes. And Road Atlanta is no stranger to that in this one. So we go back to Jeff Giazzi, who is he's chasing after Zach. He's also got the looming figure of Max Beneke right behind him, filling his mirrors. Seeing Job's also doing the same thing to Beneke as they bounce over those curves. The way the car reacts over those bumps, it just seems that it's just inches away, wrecking into the wall with how much this is expected to deal with over those curves, those massive curves on the exits of the S's. But really, the guy is doing an excellent job right now. We're going to have 3 to go across the line, and we're having a great fight. We're actually getting a front row seat to the battle behind as we see Beneke versus Job. That's an interesting one.
Oh yeah, that's
as they come down the hill. Jamie Fluke's getting front row seats for it as well. He gets to see it from. That's great stuff. Sebastian Job gets in front of Beneke, not too much of a fight, but yeah, good stuff. He gets grandstand view for some real titans going at it in front of him.
Yeah, and I think Jamie Fluke, he'll just be giving a little bit of extra room, because we know that Max Beneke is probably the most uncompromising driver in the championship. So fast, so aggressive, and does not leave anything on the table. And that can involve contact from time to time, but that's the nature of the event. And you can see Sebastian Job has got back, but just by the body language of Max Beneke's car there, the white and orange machine, I don't see him lying down with this one. And Jamie is actually in the perfect position to potentially kind of pounce a little surprise here on the German driver, with officially the highest I rating of any driver on the service. Of all the 170,000 members, the car in front of Jamie Fluke right now has the very highest ranking based on their performances across their career. So onto the back straight we go once again. Zach Campbell still holding 10th position. Now Kevin Ellis Jr., he's almost bump drafting. Well, the Deep South, it is the home of stock car racing. We're not all that far down the road from Charlotte. We're all at the NASCAR teams, and Kevin's been learning some tricks from his American colleague.
Certainly has. Bump drafting none other than Mitchell de Jong down the back straight there, as things are going to get a little bit feisty now. 2 laps to go. This is when positions are going to be made and won or lost. So Kevin not wanting to make the move on Mitchell there. Mitchell, of course, second in the championship at the moment. So he's playing it safe at the moment, as it gets sideways over the top of the hill there. They just seem they're on the ragged edge all the time in these cars, and it's great to watch. To come down the hill here, back with Zach Campbell now, who's not too far off the back of Kevin either. Behind him is Jeff, of course, and doing a really nice job, all the guys today. But a lap and a half left to go. I think there could be some moves thrown down the inside of the bottom of the hill here. Last ditch efforts to try and maybe get reverse grid pole for certainly for Alejandro Sanchez. Has got Tommy Osgaard in front of him, and that's reverse grid pole at the moment. So Zach will be hoping that something happens between the both of them and he can drive through, maybe secure himself a front row start for the reverse grid race and the feature race, which is coming up in about 10 minutes time. But we've got to get these guys across the line to finish the sprint race first of all. But no moves made from anybody yet. But I think it's going to get a little bit hectic when we get across the line for the white flag.
Oh yes, it certainly will, and we're looking. Got a great shot here on the right-hand side with Kevin Ellis Jr. and Zach Campbell, and I love Kevin Ellis Jr.'s style. He's got the Gilles Villeneuve lean in the cockpit there, leaning that car around the corner. Absolutely fantastic to watch. But yeah, that was amazing watching that real moment coming up over the S's. You're just balancing the car on a knife edge to get the most out of these cars. You really have to set them up quite aggressively, and of course here at Road Atlanta you've got to come up with a compromise, because when you ride those curbs, oh my, you need a car that's predictable. You need a car that's not going to spring a surprise, and well, that's that balancing act, and that's why the drivers will put in so many hours between each race to get the cars dialed in, and they'll do practice races, they'll do draft practice, they'll do all sorts of stuff, whatever they can think to improve their performance. Now, big thank you to all of you watching this behind the scenes stream of the Rahal Linneman Lanigan eSports team and the Apex Racing team. If you're watching on Twitch, Facebook or YouTube on the various channels, thank you very much for your support. We hope you're enjoying this, and Jack, I have to say I'm certainly enjoying this, because we've got 4 of our boys right up the front.
Certainly do. There's Sanchez going for reverse grid pole. He can't quite do it, and he had a go at least. Can Zach Campbell try and capitalise here as they come towards the last corner, but it is going to be side by side with Sanchez now. That's for reverse grid pole. Campbell needs to find some space here, but he can't do it. Sideways. Who got it? I think Osgaard got it by, that is a couple of thousandths, sideways off the line. But Kevin Ellis Jr. P6 in the sprint, Campbell 10th, Ghiazzi 11th, and Jamie Fluke in 14th, and Johan Hart is going to limp the car home for 32nd. Oh, that was hectic in the last corner between Osgaard and Sanchez. He really wanted a reverse grid pole, but didn't quite get it.
Not quite, no, but he won't go to bed thinking if he hadn't tried. That's for sure. Gave it everything he could there, did Zach Campbell, but a brilliant drive to the top 10. Let's confirm the results then of this opening sprint race here at Road Atlanta. Joshua Rogers winning again for Virtual Racing School, followed by Dane Warren, his fellow Antipodean driver, with Charlie Collins rounding out the podium. Jeremy Bootloop was fourth, and Mitchell de Jong finished in fifth. Kevin Ellis Jr. for Rahal Lederman Lanigan Esport driving up to sixth position, and will start from the second row of the grid for the feature race. A great start to the meeting. David Williams was seventh, followed by Tommy Arsgaard and Alejandro Sanchez. And Zach Campbell, watching that dramatic finish from the box seat, he will start the feature race from 10th. Jeff Ghiazzi, his best drive of the season, getting a nice clean run and showing exactly what he is capable of, beating Sebastian Job and Max Benecke, two all-stars of the sim racing world. Jamie Fluke, another solid performance from the Northern Irishman to finish in 14th. Thomas Tattel was 15th, followed by Sindre Setsas, Graham Carroll, Patrick Holzman, Moreno Sirica, Alexander Teeb, Diego Pinto, Salva Talens, Ihan Hinguven, Maxim Ramstein, Matt Backham, Mikel Gadi, Thibault Casabon, Alexander Walters, Matti Kazoya, Daniel Lafuente, Pekka Toivonen, and our very own Johan Harth. He's going to get the run of the green sometime, Jack. I just know it. He's going to get our man Johan. He's not had the luck so far this season, but hopefully he can get a strong run in the feature race. So, as the drivers go out for a very short warm-up before we go to the feature, we're going to take a very short break here on the Apex Racing TV channel. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Rahal Fowler.
And Rahal Fowler is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, where we've just watched a superb performance from our Rahal Lederman Lanigan Esports stars and our Apex Racing team aces. Kevin Ellis Jr. finishing in 6th position, right in the heart of the lead battle. But Jack, it was a really solid performance from Zach and from Kevin, and also brilliant from Jeff and Jamie. But overtaking and moving forward through the pack, so difficult at this level.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that's why Kevin went for the move so early on lap number one. He obviously that if he didn't make any moves then and there, that it would be trickier to try and make some space later on. So because we saw that it was just basically a train from lap number 1 to the very end, nobody wanted to go for a move because side-by-side action would cost them time, and then they'd lose track of the train in front of them. So it's all tactical. It seems that lap 1, turn 1 and 2 seem to be those overtaken spots, and of course down the hill into the chicane on the back straight. We saw the move for the lead. So lap 1 is your key, but it also seems to be last lap is your key. So we saw some moves being thrown down the inside of the last chicane to try and gain some last minute spots. So there's plenty that we can keep an eye on, but more than any other round that we've saw so far, it seems that the start is even more important at Road Atlanta, simply because it's just there's nowhere else. There's absolutely nowhere else apart from that back straight to go for a move, and if you do go for a move, you're going to cost yourself about half a second.
Which, of course, you just, as we saw, that with that covered the top 20 in qualifying. So you're absolutely right. That's not a type of margin you can hand away. As you see, our driver is already working hard in a warm-up session, just getting a little bit of them, maybe just working on the odd little tweak, what they thought from race 1. Of course, we go double the distance here. In race 2, the feature race, we have 20 laps of the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Now, of course, Porsche have such an extraordinary history in motorsport ever since their inception in 1948, and the Super Cup, both in the virtual form here with Tag Heuer, and the Mobile One Super Cup in the real world, a big part of that. But for the first time in the United States, Jack, they're going to have a Carrera Cup in North America. Before it was they had a different setup for Porsche Juniors coming through, but now with the brand new 911 Cup car, which has just been delivered, they're going to be going, and you never know, we might see some American talent coming into the Porsche fold quite soon.
I'm surprised that they actually didn't have any kind of Carrera Cup over in the US, considering how much talent is out there in sports car racing. I mean, just kind of look at Carrera Cup GB, how good the racing is in that. There's also an eSports series for it as well, so it's they're making good use of the car, thankfully. So Carrera Cup GB, those cars, by the way, I remember being at Goodwood a few years ago, and a man by the name of Charlie Eastwood ragging a 911 GT3, one of these, up the Goodwood Hill. The sound and the noise and how physical the car is as well. I mean, they're fantastic ways to get sports car talent up through the ranks, and they're a real driver's car, which I think is why so many people just have a soft spot for them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I had the great fortune of being in the paddock at Knockhill for the British Touring Car Championship meeting last year, and of course the Porsche Carrera Cup goes around with these cars, the real world version of the cars we have on screen right now, coming to Knockhill on the support bill for the British touring cars, and watching those cars being danced around by the likes of Harry King, who of course dominated the season, and who knows where we'll see Harry this season. Hopefully he'll get to move up to the international level in the Super Cup. We shall see. And of course the brand new 911 Cup car, which is a little bit more of it's quite a step up from the old car. It goes from, this current car is constructed 70% steel to 30% aluminium, but that is completely flipped for the new car. 70% aluminium, 30% steel, so it's going to be a lot lighter, it's going to have a lot more power, and quite a bit more electronics, and in fact the American cars are going to have ABS fitted to them as well. You can retrofit the system, so it's in America, the kind of Carrera Cup before, it used to be called the GT3 Challenge, but as you rightly say, Jack, it wasn't an equivalent championship. They used different tyres and different rule set, and it's very much a kind of Pro-Am focused championship, but it's going to go much more towards aligned with the rest of the world, and it should be exciting to watch how they get on, and they will race here at Road Atlanta as well, so that will be very cool indeed. So we have about just over 30 seconds of warm-up left, and we will be gridding up for the next round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup. Now I did promise you some trivia, Jack, And we might not have time. Oh dear! But, this was actually where they tested a lot of the Porsche Can-Am cars, where they really dialed them in, and those cars weighed just a little bit more than a Caterham 7, but had over 1,000 horsepower and at one point ran with magnesium chassis cars. So they were you needed pretty big guts to drive those around here.
Yeah, Can-Ams were another level, and of magnesium chassis, the fact that those were allowed, very dangerous, considering that the drivers were basically sitting on the fuel tank at the same time as driving those monstrous cars. But I've also seen a Can-Am car go up Goodwood as well. Actually, one of the McLaren ones, I think, with 1,000 brake horsepower. Crazy 12-litre V8, something like that. But just a little bit more power than what we got going on here. But here's the grid for the feature races. Tommy Oscar on the pole with David Williams, and Kevin Ellis Jr. starting third, next to Mitchell de Jong, Jeremy Bootloop in fifth, Charlie Collins in sixth, Dane Warren, Josh Rogers, Alejandro Sanchez, and Zach Campbell would be 10th, with Jeff Ghiazzi in 11th, and Sebastian Job sharing the role with him. Jamie Fluke's going to be sharing a role with Max Benecke, 13th and 14th respectively. Thomas Tatala, Sindra Setas, Graham Carroll, Patrick Holtzman, Moreno Sirica, Alexander Thiba, Diogo Pinto and Salva Talent, Ayahan Kanguven and Maxim Ramstein, Mac Backham and Mikkel Gade with Thibaut Casabon, Alexander Walters and Matti Kaidastoy, as we go green in the background for the feature race here in Road Atlanta. It is a good start from Kevin Ellis Jr. He's alongside David Williams as they head into turn number 1. Can he slot himself between the teammates here to come up through turn number 1 for the first time? Not quite, but he does have the run on the inside line. He's done this before. It's a mirror image of what he did last time. He's going to have the inside line for the corner, and Kevin Ellis Jr. moves up to second spot, but he has to give room to David Williams as they come into the S's for the first time. Side by side they go, but Kevin Ellis Jr. into second straight away, mirrors the move he made last time and perfectly executed by him.
What fantastic perception there from Kevin Ellis Jr. and big guts as well, because he had to take a risk there. He had to tough it out with Williams and did not give him any more room than he should. And now we're just getting reports we've got a bit of a pile up behind, so hopefully that hasn't collected any of our boys. Zach Campbell's got through clean, so is Jamie Fluke. We can see him there on camera in 15th position, so hopefully Jeff and Johan have got through the pack. There's Johan. What a start, up to 22nd position. Brilliant from Johan. He's gained 10 spots in about half a lap.
Yeah, brilliant job by Johan. He's finally maybe having some look on his side now as we see Kevin trying to go with Tommy Oscar now. David Williams and Mitchell de Jong are fighting it out there. As you can see, Zach Campbell up to 8th now as they start to pile their way through the field. Moves being made early on in this race. Here's Jeff Ghiazzi fighting it out with Sebastian Job. Into 10th he goes. Job's got the inside line for the corner. Here's Benecke trying to get himself involved as well as they come up through turn number 1. Here comes Sebastian Job on Jeff Ghiazzi. There's Zach Campbell running wide in front now, and through goes Jeff Ghiazzi. Past him there, so Zach makes a small error at the top of the hill there, drops to 15th. He was in 8th, but a small error gets himself on the grass. Jeff moves to 9th, but just behind him now. He had him there last time. He can't get rid of him. It's Max Benecke.
Yeah, and that's an ominous sight, Max Benecke filling your mirrors. I actually think that Zach maybe just got hung out to dry on the outside line there. Very common at Road Atlanta for that to happen. If you get stuck on the outside, you can really end up on the grass very easily. And that was a little bit of contact there. Not quite sure who that was who went off, but a bit of the flash of the lights from Graham Carroll in the number 8 car from the Scotsman. But brilliant start to the race from Kevin Ellis Jr. Made his moves early. We just exactly as you said, Jack. Make the moves early and then settle into the race pace. Now, what is really playing in Kevin's favour is that Mitchell de Jong and looks like David Williams having a fantastic battle here and overtaking one another back and forth, and that is breaking the pack. They've now got a second, and I tell you what, if Kevin could put a 10th or 2 into Mitchell de Jong here, he could break the draft for good.
Certainly could, yes, this is good stuff. Here's Johan, now 19th he moves up to, so what a great start from the Frenchman. Gets in front of Ayahan Kanguben to survive the wreck that happened behind and gets through. Now he's got Alexander Thiba as his next target as well. Mikkel Gade runs off the road and straight through to 18th he goes. We're going to have a replay now to look back at some of the action that happened earlier on. that we missed, of course, but Jamie Fluke runs in 12th now, and Zach is now on his tail in that 13th place as well. So the guys are all in the top 20 now. So we've got one car in 2nd, Ghiazzi is 9th, then it's Jamie Fluke in 12th and Zach Campbell in 13th. So let's see what happens. Let's see the wreck from Johan Hart's point of view. So here he is, working hard at the wheel as he comes up the hill. He's really keeping himself focused as he came up the hill there, but wow, negotiating his way past everyone through that first section. And you can see cars left, right and centre running off to the escape road. He has to pick his moments to make his way through, keeping himself very patient. You see the concentration. Oh, he got into the back of one of the cars in front right there as he came through, and that was a little checkup from there, but super concentrated from Johan Hart through those first corners. He certainly had to be to make his way through all that.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, it's just pandemonium there, and Johan managed to really place his car in just the right spots. There is a bit of luck involved, but only 1 or 2%. That was brilliant perception there from Johan Hart. We're riding back on board with Zach Campbell, who we know has got a little bit more pace than where he is right now, but he's got a strong ally in Jamie Fluke ahead. Of course, although these cars are painted in different colours, they are racing together. Campbell for Rahal Letterman Lanigan, Fluke for Apex Racing Team. So when you're in this tight of a battle, very important to have an ally. And of course, they've got Jeff Ghiazzi a couple of positions up as well. Now, just an update on Kevin Ellis Jr. is that gap is reduced from himself to Mitchell de Jong in 3rd, from my 2nd to just around 8-10, so it's staying relatively steady. Now, not good news for us here. Mitchell de Jong has broken away from Williams and is now in the process of bridging the gap up to Kevin Ellis Jr. So, Jack, looks like we might have a 3-way battle for this lead.
Certainly does look like it. Kevin is going with Tommy Osgaard as well for this race win. This is great stuff that we're watching right now. Of course, Kevin won the opening round in Interlagos, and he's got an opportunity now to try and take a second one. He looks to the inside coming towards the last corner now. I think he knows that he has to make a move pretty soon, because Mitchell de Jong is really flying up to the back of them now, and has built a second over Dane Warren. So this is going to be a great fight between both of these guys. But Tommy Osgaard, who is on the pole, he's led from the pole onto lap number 5 of 20, so lots of time in this one. And the thing is that Sebastian Job's had an issue as well. Down to 28th we hear that Sebastian Job is gone. So not a good day once again for the Red Bull Esports driver, but that's one less enemy for our guys today as they're going over the hill. But Kevin seems to have the pace over Osgaard, but now he's got to be thinking strategically about making this move. He has to be certain that he's going to be able to get the car stopped and through, because any time loss, and that's Mitchell de Jong right on his bumper as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, Jack, he's got to go. If he absolutely can Kevin Ellis Jr., he's just got to try and make this move down into turn 10A and 10B. He is in the draft all the way down. He's got a really close run on Tommy Osgaard. Here he is. He's going to hopefully pop out and have a lunge here. Oh, shows just a headlight in the mirror and can't quite set the move up. Tommy Osgaard holds the lead and Mitchell is right on top of him here. So this could really shake the pack up once again. Zach Campbell a little bit mired in 13th right now. He can't get past Jamie Fluke. He may not be attempting to just yet, but they'll both have to get a bit of a shift on if they want to get those top 10 points. But what a start to this motor race here at Road Atlanta. And tell you what, I'm so pleased to see Johan Hart finally getting a bit of the rub of the green.
Yeah, he is a great driver, Johan Hart. He's not the iRacing Rallycross World Champion for nothing, and is in a totally different discipline at the moment, but he has shown what he is able to do in previous rounds and never has the luck on his side. But he is managed to get to avoid that massive wreck, and he's up to 18th spot right now, not too far behind Jamie Fluke and Zach Campbell. It seems like Zach has got more pace in the car here, so we'll have to wait and see if he's going to be able to make a move. We know he won't try anything mad on Jamie here. Whatever he does, it will be very calculated. But you can see they're kind of breaking away up front as well. You can see there's a small gap building between Jamie and Graham Carroll, and Graham is also kind of losing touch with Beneke at the same time. So Zach kind of wants to try and see if he can make his way through. Down the hill we go, still no move on for Kevin Ellis Jr. And we have now Dane Warren is on the back of them now. So it's now all of a sudden what was a 2-car fight is now becoming very, very fast a 7-car fight.
It is, and just an update, Zach Campbell has moved past Jamie Fluke going into turn 10A and 10B, so now he's got a little bit of free space ahead up to Graham Carroll in 11th position, so let's see what Zach Campbell can do. The only slight reservation I have though, Jack, is that Zach Campbell does have a little bit of damage to the front of his car. Now, it looks relatively minor, and hopefully it won't be having too much of an effect, but you need every last % of pace in this championship, and hopefully that doesn't hinder him too much. We'll see how it develops. We're already at 1/3 race distance here, and it is really heating up. Now, what will be interesting to see if Mitchell de Jong, if he tries to fight his way to the front straight away, or of whether he's happy to sit in the pack. It's I have to say, Jack, I don't. We'll just have to wait and see. I can't guess it.
Yeah, well, we know that Mitchell de Jong is a wily character as well. He knows what he's doing, so he will be very calculated with his moves as well as we now. Back to the front. Is this the move for the lead? I think it is. Here comes Kevin Ellis Jr. on Tommy Osgaard down the inside of the bottom of the hill, and Kevin Ellis Jr. moves to the lead of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup race here at Road Atlanta, and he's back in the lead. The last time he held the lead was at Interlagos a couple of rounds ago, but he leads from Tommy Osgaard. Now, let's see if he can build a gap, because he needs to try and get away from Osgaard, but more crucially, he needs to get away from Mitchell de Jong.
Yeah, well, Osgaard's going to try and retaliate into turn 1. That would be a big, big look, but brilliant move from Kevin Ellis Jr. Hits the front of the pack on lap 8 here at Road Atlanta. Over the S's they go, and look at the train that is going all the way back to, well, pretty much to Jeff Giazzi, actually all the way through the field. But now we'll see what Kevin can do, because onto the straight, we'll see what sort of straight line pace Tommy Osgaard has got. I remember filling up your fellow countryman, an Irish engineer called Owen Hayes, who worked for Porsche for many, many years. I remember him talking about the setup on a car for Road Atlanta. He says it's such a difficult compromise, because you have one part of the circuit, this part of the circuit that we're coming onto now, the big long straight. He says there you need a Le Mans setup, but in the other parts you need a high downforce. So you have to try and find that little bit of a compromise. As you can see, Kevin just trying to weave back, forth. That's all he can do now. He's got to be careful now that he doesn't get pipped now by Tommy Osgaard, who's going to try and lean on the brakes. There he goes. So it's a retaliation 1 lap later from Tommy Osgaard, but Kevin gets the switch back, and Mitchell de Jong, a little bit of a bump there, a bit of contact. From up, there's a spin. That's Zach spinning, I think. No, it's Dane Warren. My apologies.
Yeah,
no.
I believe it. Well, I think it
Oh,
was.
no.
It is Zach. It is Zach.
Rex Alexander.
Huge wreck.
Oh my.
Oh dear, Zach Campbell with a massive wreck. I believe the initial spin, I think, I couldn't quite see what it was. I think it was either Dane, we couldn't quite see anyway, but that is a huge wreck for Zach Campbell. It's such a shame to lose him out of this race, but it's Osgaard, Ellis Jr. and de Jong now with 2.3 seconds back to David Williams. Giazzi is through there safely. Jamie Fluke is now 13th, and Johan Hart is up to 15th place now in this race. So we have got a consolation after that, but there was just somebody just got on the power a little bit too early, went around. I think it was a little bit of a cause of the stack up that happened between de Jong and Kevin as they came down, but it's now a 3-car fight for the win in this race, and that was big drama laid on in this race. We're at the halfway point when we come across the start finish, but Osgaard coming back, but now here comes Kevin again. He wants another piece of the action, but he can't quite get alongside him this time. Into the chicane they come, and it's firmly a 3-car fight, but this is going to be a really intense race now in this Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Super Cup, and we still have our boys just behind, but it's these guys have broken away because of that wreck. They've broken away and they are clean out in front, so let's see if they're going to be able to hang on to that. But Kevin survives to fight another day, but he's got the looming figure of Mitchell de Jong all over his back bumper, and Tommy Osgaard will be desperate to try and hang on to a win here as well.
Well, indeed, yes, and Kevin is right in the battle, and of course that incident has really split the pack up slightly, and Joshua Rogers in 4th position now. We know how much pace Joshua has, of course, race 1 winner. There is a little bit of crumple damage in the front of his car, but nothing too major to worry about. But tell you what, Tommy Osgaard, once he's hit the front, he is really pushing on here. Just opened up about 0.4 of a second, but then Kevin, so good around turn 7. That is the most critical corner on this Road Atlanta circuit. So into the draft they go. Now, this is, you feel that this is just going to go back and forth throughout the race. And they've got to be really conscious of Rogers in 4th, because if they battle at all, Rogers will be all over them, and there'll be a supporting cast to join him.
Yeah, the prospect of Josh Rogers involved in this battle as well is tantalising. Not exactly what we want exactly, but there you go. Johan Hart, 14th, he give it to now. We're going to get a replay of what exactly happened. You see Jeremy Bootler with the damage on the front. He was involved in that, but we're going to get a look at that again. We just couldn't get a glimpse of who spun, but here they are coming through the chicane. And somebody just gets on the power a little bit too early. Round they went, and big stack up, and Jeff did so well there. Didn't need to get through that. And then unfortunately Zach getting collected in that one, and then a huge contact there on the exit as he came through, and that is a real shame for Zach to come through, and unfortunately DNF from the race. But Jeff, I mean, he did ever so well. He was inches away from the wall and managed to somehow make it through there and hold on to that 9th position. But it has broken the pack up now into this 3-car train. But in the background you can see Josh Rogers, he is there in 4th, Charlie Collins is there, and Beneke is there as well. Here we go down the back straight once again. Kevin's getting closer and closer to Oscar this time, and I think he's going to go for the move. Yes, he is, alongside Tommy Oscar again. It's swapping positions back and forth here in this feature race, and Kevin Ellis Jr. moves back to the lead momentarily as they enter the braking zone for the left hand, and he does make it stick this time. So Kevin Ellis Jr. back to the lead of the race, but that small little battle is only just bringing Josh Rogers a little bit closer each time.
Well, it's Kevin Ellis Jr. hits the front, and if you're at the front, well, there's nobody who can spin in front of you. So sometimes good just to hit the front when you can and show that you can run at the front. Brilliant stuff from Kevin Ellis Jr. He takes the lead for Rahal Lederman Lanigan Esports here at Road Atlanta. Now, Jack, I'm just having a look at Jeff Chiazzi's car to check what the damage was. Of course, he didn't get through that without some contact with all that melee that was happening in front. Now, it looks like he's got away relatively unscathed. There's a little bit of damage on the front, but it's very, very minor indeed. So hopefully Jeff will be able to really fight with Graham Carroll in front. And I tell you what, it's been a great day at the office for our Brazilian ace. But Kevin Ellis Jr. out onto the lead, then in onto the back straight. Now, that gap is now closed. It's done. So that what was a 3-car breakaway is now joined back into a 7-car train. It's extraordinary how quickly it comes together. But the thing is here, though, Jack, is we've got teammates everywhere. Poor old Kevin, he's surrounded by Coanda cars. All 3 of the guys around him drive for the same team. They're in different colours, but he's kind of on his own here. But of course, you've got 2 big, not egos, but you've got 2 really, really big drivers, Mitchell de Jong and Joshua Rogers, and you've got to think that they have the potential to get in each other's way. So Kevin's really doing a super job here to kind of get in the heart of this battle.
Yeah, he just kind of let Oscar through that time, but right behind him is the people who are 1st and 2nd in the championship respectively. Rogers leading, de Jong 2nd. So he's, you are right, he's basically sandwiched between Coanda cars. The only non-Coanda car in this battle is Beneke, who's 6th at the moment as well. But this is getting really feisty now, with about 7 laps left in this race. De Jong looking very racy behind Josh Rogers, desperate to try and get past his championship rival here. I don't think there's going to be much between them there as they come into the break. So Charlie Collins fancies a bit of action as well. Oscar with a small breakaway now as they enter the right-hander, but again, Kevin very good out of the exit of that corner, but is he going to be able to drag himself away there? He's going to get the benefit of the slipstream from Oscar in front, which will save him a bit. He won't be able to make a move this time, but what he has to do is keep de Jong behind him, which is easier said than done. Down to the break zone. Rogers looks to the inside now. Defensive move for Kevin. He has to hang Kevin de Jong behind him. De Jong tries to go around the outside, but Kevin does a great job to shut the door there and keep him behind. The slipstream from Oscar helping him out there. But now, Johan Hart into 13th in front of Jamie Fluke, who has damage. But Johan is driving out of his skin today.
And this is what we always knew he was capable of. I'm so pleased for Johan that he's been able to show what he's got, because the amount of times he's been caught up in a lap 1 incident, often no fault of his own, it's really stripped him of that opportunity. Of course, didn't get to set a lap time in qualifying. And wow, what a drive from our flying Frenchman so far. And he's got through all of those incidents without much damage on the car, and those around him do have little bits and pieces. So that's going to play an effect, surely, when we come onto these last lap battles down the back straight. But Jeff Ghiazzi as well, again, a bit the same as Johan, often not being able to really show his true pace, but he's doing a absolutely mega job. And he's got Williams, the former front runner, in 8th position, who started much further up than that. So Williams can drop back, maybe got a little bit mired by that pile-up that claimed Zach Campbell, unfortunately. But dearie me, I mean, I tell you what, I love driving at Road Atlanta, Jack, but I tell you what I enjoy more is watching racing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin has a little look again, but he can't quite get up alongside Oscar. Look at this train for the lead. In the background as well, you can see Graham Carroll with David Williams, Jeff Ghiazzi, Moreno Saricha, Patrick Holtzman. They're all in a fight there now. The door opens for Saricha with a little mistake from Jeff. He opens the door, he doesn't fight it. Still has a top 10 position where he is, but loses the position. But he's going to come straight back as Saricha cuts him off as they come towards turn 1. Ghiazzi now, does he have the outside line? He's going to try and cut back inside the Italian, but I don't think he's going to quite get it done. Back to the front we go, though. It's still Oscar with Ellis Jr., but look at all those Coanda cars in front and behind Kevin Ellis Jr. at the moment. But Oscar's led most of this race. Every time Kevin has got past, Oscar has answered him straight back and got straight back past him again. So I think Kevin is going to have to leave this late if he wants to try and take this win.
Yeah, this is too tough to call here. And of course, Beneke now right on the back of this as well. You can see him on the back of the train, the number 93 car of Charlie Collins in there too. Very, very dangerous indeed. Well, look at that. Kevin just takes one hand off the steering wheel, a little bit of a scratch. No problem. It's all just a day at the office for the man from Glasgow. But down they go then. They're not even halfway down the back straight and already having to go very defensive, the 24 car of Mitchell de Jong. But Kevin, he's not going defensive, he's on the attack. Brilliant, into the lead he goes, and look at the melee behind him. That's exactly what's required. Kevin will be thinking, yes guys, just have a punch at each other. Yeah, come on. Who's the one who's left here? Of course, all the guys behind him, they're not only on the same team, they all live in the same house, so I understand.
Yeah, they all do. They're all in the same, basically in the same room with each other in this one. So Kevin now leads 5 laps left in this feature race. This is a difficult task ahead of Kevin Ellis Jr., but he's driving so well in that RLL Esports car. He won on his debut for the team back in Interlagos, fighting with Alejandro Sanchez at the flag, but now he's got all of those Coanda cars right behind him, as well as Max Beneke, and they are desperate to try and take this away from him, but he's got about 3 tenths in hand right now. But Oscar, we know what Tommy's like. He will come straight back at him down the straight here. And this is going to be an interesting watch right now. Out of this corner. This is where Kevin is better out of there. And Oscar gets loose as they come out right now. That's going to give the opportunity to De Jong. Now the fight. Keep fighting, lads, behind. That's exactly what Kevin needs to see. De Jong is going to move past Tommy Oscar, who made the slightest error on the exit of the corner that leads onto the back straight. So Mitchell De Jong moves in front of him now. Well, it's going to be a fight between them. There's very late on the brakes for De Jong. He gets on the brakes and he does get it stopped and moves into second now. So it's now De Jong versus Kevin Ellis Jr. Here comes Josh Rogers, who's trying to pick up the pieces on Oscar as well. And he moves into the last corner now. Inside line for Josh Rogers. It's going to be very tight between the both of them as they come across the start finish. Still neck and neck as we look back from the rear wing of Kevin Ellis Jr. 3 abreast. Charlie Collins has to defend from back. Max Beneke as well. Oscar fighting. That's just leaving them a gap right now. Look how much De Jong has broken away as a result of that one. But now it's now going to be 4 laps to go. Can he hang on? We're desperate that he's going to hang on.
Wow, it's amazing that just that tiniest little bit of wheel spin on the exit for Oscar, and he was just a sitting duck with the amount of slipstream effect that these cars have. Wow, absolutely amazing. But it was, I tell you what, I was a bit nervous there when I saw how late that Mitchell de Jong got on the brakes, but he pulled it into the apex. Mighty impressive from the American driver. But much to Kevin Ellis's delight, I'm sure, that, well, actually, I actually thought that Rogers was going to get past Oscar there, but he hasn't. But now Kevin's in real trouble. You can see Mitchell de Jong really getting close on the brakes now, but we'll see Kevin, will he go defensive or will he let Mitchell go? There is 3 laps to go. He doesn't need to lead the whole time, just needs to lead over the line. And there you go, Mitchell de Jong goes to the lead. Kevin goes into second, but that's okay. That's absolutely okay. He's still in the fight, shows his nose, tries to put some pressure on Mitchell de Jong. He says, yeah, you see what it's like in the lead. It's not much fun. Oh.
Yeah, certainly is. There goes Ghiazzi fighting David Williams in the last corner. That got tight as they came across there. Patrick Holtzman now going to try and take the both of them up the hill, but Ghiazzi moves into 9th place. So good job. Oh, contact behind there. There goes David Williams off the road. That's another position for Johan Harth. Up to 12th he goes, and Johan is only a couple of car lengths back from that battle. Johan could still get a top 10 here. Now this that'll be some result for him, just like Jamie fluked in 2 weeks ago. That's very wide for de Jong, and that time as he came over the top of the hill. There's only 3 laps to go. Kevin's got a good run down to the right hander, but he's not going to go for it here. He knows better. And Josh Rogers still not unable to get past Tommy Osgaard. Very surprising. Osgaard's defending very nicely there. But onto the back straight we go again. No wheel spin for Osgaard this time, but de Jong not getting the same kind of exit that Kevin got that time, and Kevin's got a great run down into the chicane here. Is he going to go for it and swap positions back against the American here? Yes, he is. Here we go again. It's going to be another swap for the lead for Kevin Ellis Jr. He moves to the inside and retakes the lead here in Road Atlanta against Mitchell de Jong. And there goes Josh Rogers. Does he get it done this time? Around the outside of Tommy Osgaard. Still side by side on the exit. De Jong's trying to look for the inside on Kevin that time, but he can't do it. And again, we go with 2 laps left on the clock right now. Rogers moves into 3rd, so we have a new challenger right now. It's going to be Kevin versus Mitchell versus Josh for the win right here with 2 laps left in this one. This is going to be a thrilling end here.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. And what can you say? What more can you say about Kevin Ellis Jr.? Really just so calm and cool under pressure. I mean, you cannot imagine the stress that this is. You've got the best drivers in the world clambering all over the gearbox, and I tell you what, Kevin has got 2 critical parts to his playbook here, Jack. His exit out of turn 7 is sublime, and that gives him a great run to make those moves, but then on the brakes onto turn 10A, he has got the thing stood on its nose but gets it to the apex every time. This has been a vintage performance from Kevin Ellis Jr.
Yeah, here we go now. Look at him trying to break the toe already on Mitchell de Jong. He knows that Mitchell's going to come straight back at him here, but Josh Rogers is there too. So with a lap and a half left, who's going to take it? We don't know. Kevin now, he's going to lose this position, I think, to Mitchell de Jong as they come into the break zone. Mitchell moves to the inside line. What does Kevin do about it? Onto the brakes. De Jong takes the lead now as we take the white flag this time by. Can he secure his 2nd win, or will it be a podium as we come now over the start-finish line? That is Josh Rogers behind him now, who wants to try and get the position in the 92, the championship leader. Round the final corner, white flag in the air. I'm sure Josh Rogers is going to go for the move here on the inside line. No, he's going to back off, and this is going to go right down to the wire as it always does in Road Atlanta. On board with the Scotsman as he chases after Mitchell de Jong, who's been in the lead now for the best part of this half lap right now, but Kevin is desperate to try and secure another win right here. He's been so calm and collected. You can see him on the right hand side of your screens right now, just keeping focused. He's glued to the back of that Coanda SimSport car right in front of him now. Into the left-hander, right we go, and over the crest for the final time in this round of the Porsche Tag Heuer eSports Supercup. Here we go again, a little weave from de Jong, but now this is the crucial time right now. Kevin has got to get the exit out of this turn number 7 to try and secure this win right here, and he's been sublime through this corner, and it's a great exit from Kevin Ellis Jr. Surely now, can he try and take this win in the last corner? He's going to have to defend from Josh Rogers behind, but is it going to be enough for Kevin Ellis Jr. to secure his 2nd win? Look at this weaving down the straight, but here we go. Kevin moves now to the outside line. He's going to have to go around the outside for the win in the final corner. Who's going to get it? Ellis Jr. to the outside, breaks late, and Mitchell de Jong's on the inside line. Kevin goes round the outside, switches back to the inside as they come to the final corner. It's going to be a neck-and-neck drag race between himself and Josh Rogers. Rogers comes up the inside into the final corner, and Josh Rogers is going to win this one. Kevin goes round the outside. There's not going to be a wall. It's 3rd place for Kevin Ellis Jr. Rogers takes it. Oscar 2nd, and Ellis Jr. 3rd at the death. He tried everything, but it wasn't enough. It's 3rd for Ellis Jr. It's Ghiazzi in 8th, and that is one of the closest finishes you will see in this championship. But Kevin gave everything at the death right there. What a shame. Rogers wins again.
Wow, what a finish to that race. We'll try and get a replay for you folks if we can. Oh, dear me. There looked to actually be, of course, Mitchell de Jong, there looked to be a tiny bit of a little bit of netcode possibly, and that sent De Jong into a spin. And yeah, once Rogers had the inside, Kevin was always in the risky spot. They made a slight touch, and Kevin just getting put onto the grass, but still classified in third. Still an absolutely heroic performance from the Scotsman. Tommy Oscar eventually finishes second there. Max Beneke in fourth, Charlie Collins fifth, Graham Carroll my apologies, Max Beneke finishing fourth, Charlie Collins fifth, Graham Carroll sixth, and Jeff Giazzi in eighth. Johan Harth from 32nd on the grid finishes in 10th. Absolutely extraordinary, and we do have that replay for you now, folks. We're going to get that and see what happened to Kevin in the heart of this battle. We'll try and get a closer look at it. So here we go. We're going down into turn 10A and 10B, and Kevin's just got the edge, but De Jong on the inside. So look at this. Either Mitchell De Jong spins on his own, or there's netcode, because I don't think they actually touched there. Now, here we go. Oh, it's just unlucky. Just unlucky. Oh, but I tell you what, that could have, if that had happened a corner before Jack, Kevin would have been going home empty-handed, but still gets a podium position. And I'm sure after a good night's sleep, he'll still be pretty chuffed with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a hell of a drive from Kevin right there. I believe, just looking at that, that was netcode between himself and Mitchell De Jong right there. And yeah, he just went to turn in for the corner, and Josh was there. A little bit of contact with the rear tyre, and just to be fair to Kevin, at least he kept his foot planted to get that car across the line. But I think that just tells you the story of the race, right? The top 5 within 8/10 across the line right there. But Johan Hart, that is a hell of a drive, and he absolutely deserves that top 10. Kept his nose clean, kept himself out of the trouble that was going on. And but it's such a shame we didn't have Zach in that one, because I'm sure Zach would have been up there as well, just with that massive accident he was involved with earlier on. But Kevin can be proud of how he drove today. You can see the battle-scarred Porsche making it back into the road, Atlanta pit road, and yeah, he did an excellent job today, and I'm sure he'll be very, very proud again. But it's championship leader Josh Rogers. I mean, he just somehow gets through him and wins again after all of that. And Tommy Oscar did an excellent job anyway to get back to second. But nearly we had him on the top step for the second time. But either way, a third place is still absolutely deserving. I'm sure he'll be pretty frustrated right now when he's in the cockpit. But as he said, once he goes back and looks back, he can be very, very proud of how he drove up against the titans of the series right there. And we'll have to wait and see how he's gonna carry that forward. Hopefully he can carry that forward as well. But I'm absolutely delighted for Johan with that result. That's back of the grid to the top 10. I mean, great drive, just like Jamie Fluke did 2 weeks ago.
Indeed, yeah, certainly. It's absolutely superb and fully deserved for Johan Harth. I can't believe that. 14 cars retiring from the race from 40 starters. A huge rate of attrition here at Road Atlanta. Now, we're going to take a very, very short break here on Apex Racing TV. We will be right back with hopefully some driver interviews from the guys in the team once they've got out the car. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Raul Falla.
And Raul Falla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell De Jong.
Mitchell De Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and I'm delighted to say we are joined by a man who continues to impress us so much. It's been a great return to form after a slightly difficult start to the season with injury woes and etc. Jamie, that was a great performance out there today at Road Atlanta, but it was busy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty hectic. The first race was about as straightforward and as boring as you will ever see, and I sort of knew, like, well, if that's how boring this one's going to be, who knows how mental the second one is. It's sort of the calm before the storm. And we got battered and bruised and knocked around a bit, but we went forward from where we started. So around here at a track that I've never been good at, I cannot complain. I'll take points.
Well, of course, you've had a big win here in the past. Did you not in the Corvette C7 win the Petit Le Mans?
Yeah, but I got a massive helping hand from Kev and McKelly with that, where they gave me the car with like nearly a minute lead for the last couple of hours, and like, well, all I had to do is keep it out the wall, and we had the job done. So I will say, even though that's a big victory, I've never really been super hot around here. So to a pair of top 15s, given that I qualified back row last year here, I'm happy enough with that.
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, we've seen how important qualifying's been. I mean, Jamie, tell us about the prep that you guys have done over the last 2 weeks, because normally when we've had that extra week break, you guys have really made the most of it. Just give our fans and our viewers an impression about what the sort of things, without giving away your secrets, of what you guys do to get ready for a circuit like this.
It's it's a lot of hard work and a lot of just trying different things with either the setup or, especially now with the new meta, shall we say, of tire warming. So it's a lot of just hands on deck, trying different things, and then a lot of test races as well. Like, we'll do a lot of mock meetings like this with a qualifying, a heat, and or a sprint race and a feature. So the more of those that we do, sort of the sharper we are coming into, and the more that we know how to expect things to go. Now, obviously, we can't replicate a full 40-car grid of test drivers, but it does help an awful lot going onto the grid, sort of having a rough idea at least what to expect. So that makes things easier for us. And so once it comes to race day, you don't really feel the same pressure, because you've done that same sort of scenario where you have to put in a qualifying lap and then straight into a race. We've done that plenty of times before, so it sort of becomes second nature.
Just another day at the office, just like anyone else going into work. Jamie, just a final question from me. We see, obviously there are Rahal, Latham, and Lanigan. We have 2 cars, and then 3 for Apex Racing Team. But out there, you've got Coanda, for example, the obvious one. They've got a huge amount of cars on track. Give from your point of view, how much an effect does that have when you're battling, when you're surrounded by 4 or 5 guys on the same team? Are they working cooperatively, do you think, or are they just all out for number one?
That's a good question. I know that for our guys that we sort of work well as a team, and the priority is the result for our guys, not so much for one individual driver. But if we can help out in any way, then that's great, because I mean, in the race there today, Johan was able to give me a nice tow and just sort of prolong the inevitable battle that I would have with guys behind. So that worked out for me. But I think for the other teams, maybe they don't work quite as cooperatively. It's tough to say. Obviously, I don't know their internals, but I think a lot of those guys, it's in it for themselves, and whatever way it falls, it falls.
A bit more Formula One-esque, possibly. Well, Jamie, before we let you go, who would you like to give a shout out to here on our stream.
Yeah, I would like to thank basically all branches of Apex, SDK Gaming, Apex Racing Academy, all the guys on the team. We put a ton of effort into this, and Kev up in P3 is a great result. I thank you guys obviously for all the broadcasts, and even this stream as well. It's always a good watch back. Even Apex Racing Leagues as well, plenty of really good racing leagues. So that makes the entire thing tick and makes things work, super well. Special shout out this week actually to Zach. Obviously this being his home track, and unfortunately didn't get the result that he wanted, but he spent so much time with us just making sure that we were all up to speed. And I think we did a pretty good job today. Just maybe not everyone's result went the way they wanted, but full credit to him for helping us all out there.
Fantastic stuff, Jamie. Well done on a great meeting, and we'll see you next time out. We're off to Montreal, so that should be equally hectic.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it should be fun.
Right, thanks, Jamie. Good job. So while we get Jeff Giazzi and Johan Harth ready for an interview, let's take another look at this. I mean, Jack, you were I'm surprised you got any breath left, because I was certainly watching it with in between my fingers. Kev comes in the lead, and he's got Mitchell de Jong all over him. He knows that Joshua Rogers is coming. I mean, just try and run us through this. Try and dissect this crazy race.
Yeah, it's a good interview gave me a chance to kind of just sit back and process that. So, yeah, so Kevin comes in the lead, which I think if we heard from him in hindsight, he probably wouldn't have wanted to be in the lead right there, because he could have made it stick a little bit better, but. So this of course is the second to last lap, so we're going to see de Jong is going to go for it. You can see him weaving down. There's plenty of that today, weaving down the straight. So de Jong will get the move done here. So he gets in the slipstream, and they'll just move to the inside. Kevin doesn't really fight it too much here, so he goes to the inside, gets it stopped. Kevin kind of backs off, doesn't try to go around the outside and lose time. And then, see, at this point, we know he's already thinking about the last lap. He's already thinking about going for the move later on. He actually thinks about it right there. Comes round the final corner. This is where it gets hectic now, because he has to go slightly defensive right there. You can see Josh thought about going for a move up the inside there into turn 1, but it's where we look at the back straight here is where things really get hectic. So he stays with him on the bumper all the way through. The corners right there through sector number 1, sector number 2. Doesn't even think about going for a move through there. But we all know that we're going to have a look again at that last few corners once again while we get ready here. You're just watching here. You can see de Jong was weaker out of the top of the hill there. Then into kind of 6 and 7 right here. Turns it in, and he's already thinking about going for this move down into the braking zone for the chicane. He gets the exit. He gets a brilliant exit out of turn 7. To be fair to Kevin, and then we already know Mitchell is going to force him outside here. There's no way he's going to leave him to have that inside line. Moves to the outside, and he's already now thinking about being brave. He does a fantastic job here. He's at half a car length in front, stops it. Goes round the outside here, and then there's a tiny bit of net call between himself and de Jong, and that opens the door for Josh Rogers to come through. Kevin tries to get the car turned in, a little bit of contact with the rear end, and gives the second place to Osgard. Hits the wall, but gets across the line for third, and that is about as mental a finish as you will get in this championship. But yeah, crazy stuff, Peter. But we're gonna hear now. We've got Jeff Giazzi and we've got Johan Harth in with us to have a chat with us. And Johan, if I could start with you, race number 1, facing backwards, and then starting down the back end of the field, driving through from 37th, I think it was, up to the top 10. So fantastic effort from yourself there. Just talk us through how hectic that was.
Yeah, crazy race, really. Like, after what happened in lap 1 in the sprint, I was like, yeah, here we go again. That's going to be a long and boring one. Nothing really happened in the sprint, so only gained maybe another 4 or 5 spots. Got up to P32 for the feature. Was not expecting that much, maybe a couple of points, like top 25, top 20. But then Mickey has done a super job spotting for me during the race, and we avoided everything. Got a few moves done, maybe 3 or 4, but all the spots I gained were just crash avoidance. So yeah, shout out to Michele for that. top job.
Yeah, obviously a tough one at the office, but a good result in the end. Obviously, this series overall has been a bit of a roller coaster. We've saw some great performances from you, but it just seems that that luck never seems to go with you. So, is it always a confidence knocker when you practice? You practice, just think hours and hours and hours into practice, and then for something to go wrong in turn one, is that a confidence knocker heading into later races?
Well, you're obviously a bit gutted when you put in 20, 25 hours into a race and you're facing backwards out of turn 3. But yeah, you gotta keep pushing, keep focused. Never the end. We saw what happened during this race. That was P39, last car running in the sprint, and I'm in the top 10 at the end of the feature. 25 laps later. So yeah, always need to push all the way.
Absolutely, and we head to Montreal next time out. So I think that's going to be probably equally as hectic. What's your thoughts going into it?
Oh, it's probably gonna be the same, except we're not gonna go in the runoff areas. We're gonna bounce off the walls. So yeah, I'm expecting some crazy racing again next week.
Excellent stuff. Thanks very much, Johan. Jeff, great drive from you today. I think it was your best performance of the season so far. Consistent up in the top 20 and fighting it out with Max Benecke and Sebastian Job in race number 1. I think a very good day for you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jack. I'm really happy with how the race went. The heat race was really hard. Sebastian Job, it's really fast, and so does Maximilian Benecke, and was so hard to keep them behind. And you have like the world champion from last year and the P2 in the championship from 2019. So it was a really tough mission. And when it came down to the feature, I kept fighting for the position. I was trying to be in the sweet spot of being intelligent and being aggressive at the same time. I had to work with those two things. And when I saw myself fighting with Sebastian Job, I tried to do my best. And it's a shame he ended up on the grass. Maybe we were like in a very tight fight, which we have never ever been before. Like last year, we used to practice together, and I would say it's the second time we ever got in a fight. So it's tough when two people try to race hard to each other. And I watched the replay. It was just a race incident. But yeah, race goes on. Big crash in front of me, and then cars flying in my mirrors, and I managed to go right through 2 wrecking cars. My spotter said go right, and I went right, and then the road just closed. So I was as hard as I possibly could on the brakes, and I was like Moses with cars going left and right, and I'm just driving through the middle. And I was so surprised I could keep up my position, and people kept wrecking ahead, which got me the top 8. So I think I was conservative enough to don't put myself in a bad position, and aggressive enough to get a top 10. So I'm really happy with the result. And it was not like any top 10, it's a top 10 fighting with people that are really strong in the series.
Yeah, it was a great day for yourself. Just talk us through as well. How hard is it to get a setup for Road Atlanta? Because it's got the characteristics. It's got it's a tight and twisty circuit, but it's got big curbs, and it's also got that long back straight. So how hard is it to find a car that's well balanced for Road Atlanta?
The thing is, you need a lot of downforce for the uphill, downhill, and those sectors, and you also have a very long straight. So if you add a lot of downforce on the car, it's probably gonna cost you at the end of the straight. So you need to balance those things. And a few turns, like the final one, you need a lot of grip. But when it comes down to the S's, you're just bouncing around. So you have to choose between a car that's more stable or a car that has more grip. So it's really hard for you to build up a setup. It was a really big team effort. Everybody worked a lot on the setup. I started the week working with my own setup, and then everybody started changing ideas, exchanging ideas actually. And then we came to the race with a very good setup, not only for the sprint, but for the feature and for the qualify. So I have to thank the team a lot for the effort everybody put into. And this result would not be possible without so many hours of developing the equipment and developing the skills, like passing skills, racecraft, the best thing I can say. So it was a really big team effort, and I'm really happy with it. And congrats, not only to the entire team, but especially to Johan, who came from last on the grid to finish in the top 10. That was incredible. He told me, "Hey, I finished top 10," and I looked at the result. I was like, "How is this even possible? You were dead last, and now you're you're finishing top 10." So that was really good and really impressive. I'm just happy.
Excellent. So, Jeff, thank you so much for hopping in with us. Brazilian fans are going to love that result, and hopefully we'll have a few more of them when we head to Montreal next week. Thank you very much for chatting to us.
Thank you. Good evening. Bye. Ciao, ciao.
So, a very happy Jeff Gyasi there. I think that's actually probably the happiest we've had him. Really, he's you can hear it. He's really upbeat. He's finally got the result he deserves, Peter.
Yeah, that result has been coming since the very first moment of the season. Jeff's so impressive. He's got a lot of real-world experience as well, racing in single-seaters, but also has actually got real-world experience in this very car in his native Brazil. And and what a nice guy as well. Brings a lot of joy to the team. So we have our Rahal Lenneman Lanigan eSports stars joining us now in the commentary box. And Zach, I'll start with you, my friend. Buddy, that was agonizing to watch. You were absolutely flying there. Just try and give us a view of your thoughts right now.
Oh, you're telling me. Just it's so unfortunate, you know? It's you got to be lucky and good in racing, and just it stings a little bit when you're one and not the other. Not a lot of good things to say. I'm glad the team could do well with Kev. I'm really happy that he could run so well and do that. It's just it's agonizing. Just things not in your control, and it's kind of 2 weeks in a row. It's just been things I couldn't control, and we'll move on to Montreal and hopefully put some luck back in our hands, because I've been saving it up the last 2 weeks.
You're due one. Well, Zach, I remember when I was writing the race reports for your journey through pre-qualifying, it's like trying to escape from prison. It's impossible. It's just crazy trying to get through there. But you had a great start, won the race at Okayama, and then had a couple of really tough rounds. But you stuck in, and you did it when it mattered. So keep that in mind, that it'll come good.
yeah. Hopefully, I mean the Pro Q experience is really paying off right now. But I mean it's unfortunate, but I'm glad we could put together another fast race car. I don't think there's been a single week where I think we've been off on the setup. So that's been something to really hold our heads high about, and really look forward to, is because we're not putting together bad race cars at all. It's just sometimes the luck just doesn't go our way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Zach, one final question from me. A lot of your fellow colleagues in both Apex Racing Team and RLL have mentioned that you've been pivotal to the team in the preparation at Road Atlanta. Without giving away your secrets, what have you been able to work with the guys, and what is it that you brought to the table in the last 2 weeks preparing for the circuit that you know so well?
Well, it helps that my school is 6 feet away, and I was the only one that really wasn't having too many issues with brake dragging, and so I hopped on that and did about 7-8 hours of just pure brake dragging practice, just to figure out Q, which seems to have paid off pretty well. I know most of us were in around the top 10, so I mean it's mainly been Q. I mean, these guys helped me so much in race, especially. I mean, just learning and working with everyone at RLL, ART, and MSI eSports as well. Just being able to go in and do test races. I think everyone contributes a bunch in this group, and I really I wouldn't work with any other group, because I think they work just as hard, if not harder, than everybody else in the field at this.
And that always pays off in the end. No, you should be very proud of the performance. Zach, congratulations. Now, before we let you go, who would you like to give a shout out to here on our stream?
Everyone at RLL for helping us. good days don't always come, but they're a little sweeter with them around us. They're they're pivotal to everything we do here. Just want to thank Kev, Alejandro, Jan, everyone on ART and MSI and RLL that I can think of. I know those are just the first three names that came to mind, but they help a bunch in just learning how to handle situations. And in a rookie year, I couldn't ask for much more from those guys.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you guys can do at Montreal. I've got a good feeling.
Hopefully, I like your good feelings, so I hope we can carry that on.
We will. We will. Good job, Zach, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
So finally, we've got my fellow Scotsman, Kevin Ellis Jr., who's had quite the day out on track. 2 top 10 finishes, a podium finish in the feature race there. Kevin, you've had a moment to just process what's just gone on. That looked like one of the most stressful races I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was up there for sure. You know, Silverstone was stressful, surrounded by Coanda guys, and then today it was the same, except we were battling for a win this time. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I hate what happened to Mitchell on the last chicane there. Just a little bit of latency. That corner was catching us out all week. And testing, if you try and go side by side, it just pings the car on the outside off. And unfortunately, that's just how things played out. With Mitchell there, it was really unfortunate. And then with Josh coming to the line, I was thinking he was going to go a little bit tighter than he did. And I just turned in hoping for the best to just try and carry the run around the outside. And unfortunately, again, the contact model isn't exactly up to par either. So as soon as we made any kind of contact, it just shot me straight off into the wall. And I had absolutely no run to the line, ended up third, which stings a little bit. You know, I would have taken a P2. I wouldn't have been too disheartened. But you know, as much as it might look good on the outside, I'm actually quite disappointed with third today, considering how the rest of the race went.
Yeah, I can understand that because you know, on one hand, you could say, "Oh, it could have been zero." You know, if that accident had happened a couple of hundred meters further back, it could have been worse. But to me, Kevin, there were two parts that I saw. I mean, tell me from your point of view. It looked like the last corner coming onto the straight, you were getting such a slingshot out of there, and then brilliant on the brakes into turn 10A and 10B. You know, that's where you need to be quick at Road Atlanta. It seemed to me that you had every bit the same pace as Mitchell and Josh Rogers as well.
Yeah, I certainly felt so. I think Josh was definitely really quick. It's kind of to be expected. I mean, the guy's always strong on tracks like this. I mean, he's strong everywhere, but especially strong at tracks like this. You know, he really closed the gap to us front three pretty quickly. And you know, the guys at the front were pretty smart for the most part. You know, like there was a lot of give and take. There was a lot of understanding. You know, we were in a pretty privileged position to be in the podium, so no one's really too aggressive until the last 2-3 laps. So you know, the moves into 10A were made quite easy by the Coanda guys, just playing it smart and looking at the big picture, not to bring 12 other guys into the battle for it. Just try and keep it as little people to manage as possible, which we managed to do. And yeah, obviously, it just near the end there, it gets a little bit tighter and but yeah, I mean, I think the race car was really good. My pace felt good. I felt confident once we get into the swing of things. So yeah, as I say, just a bit disappointed with third, but you know, it's worst days have happened this year. We'll put it that way.
Well, we know we're in the groove when we're disappointed with third. So that's what we that's what we like to see. Now, final question, Kevin. I mean, you've been the kind of front runner in the group. But at the front, it is just a swarm of Coanda cars. They've got so many guys up there at the front. I mean, just tell us what that's like from your point of view. Do you feel that you're kind of not ganged up on, but is that a factor? Do you see them cooperating together, or are they out for number one, do you think?
It's definitely tough. You know, there's quite a few times the last couple of weeks I've been wishing that the guys had been up in the top 8 with me, but obviously there's so many Coanda guys. I think there's 11 of them in the series, and they're so strong in qualifying that you know, they normally fill out 80-90% of the top 8, so it just makes life really difficult. You know, there's definitely advantages to it just being one team. You know, sometimes they tend to race a little bit nicer around each other, whereas if it was two rivals from opposite teams ahead of you, you know, they're not going to have as much respect as the Coanda guys do. They tend to take it quite easy. So in some situations, you can try and take advantage of it. But, you know, ultimately, you are ganged up on. You know, you definitely feel outnumbered out there. It was really, really stressful, the same as Silverstone as well, where, you're just surrounded by them, and any kind of move that you make, that the guy next to you is going to do everything he can to make your life uncomfortable, and help the guy behind. So it's really tough to try and manage your efforts, to make sure that you don't overdo it, trying to just get one position. And yeah, it's just so tough being outnumbered on a weekly basis. But I'm sure we'll get there come the end of the season, and we won't be as outnumbered.
Oh, well, you're certainly handling it well. Now, Kevin, final question I've remembered. How many Venoms on the cards for tonight?
None again. We get Carrera Cup GB tomorrow, so we've got to keep it sensible. We've got the points lead in the Carrera Cup GB, thankfully by 1 point. So we'll try and maintain that tomorrow. Do the best that we can at Donington National, and we'll see how we go. But yeah, it's really busy at the minute. No time to kind of relax. There's no days off, so we just got to keep on digging every single day. And yeah, unfortunately, the Venoms will have to wait, I think.
Well, hopefully we're going to share one day soon. Kevin, great job today. A superb performance in both races. Great, well done, and good luck tomorrow at Donington.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. I just want to give a quick thank you as well. I don't want to forget. I wanted to give a massive thanks to Zach and all the guys on ART, RLL, MSI. All those guys done such a great job the last 2 weeks to make sure we didn't miss any kind of tricks and make sure that we were on top of everything and everyone was ready to go. And honestly, I didn't feel confident around here. Even last night, I was having big issues, and the guys just, without them, I wouldn't be able to achieve even half of this. So yeah, a massive thanks to everyone involved in the RLL, ART, MSI, everyone involved in this whole effort. It's been a great journey the first half of the season, and hopefully the second half we can have more of the same.
Let's get them. Kevin, well done, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So that is all we have time for tonight on the Rahal Lederman Lanigan and Apex Racing Team stream. Behind the scenes with our stars out there, what a dramatic finish to the race. Kevin Ellis Jr. throwing everything at it to win the race, coming home third in the end, but a brilliant haul of points. We'll be back same time next week, 7 p.m. GMT, for all the action from the Apex Racing Team and Rahal Lederman Lanigan. Big thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you next week time.